All right, thanks, guys. We got ourselves a lot of great games here today, so let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to begin with Baylor taking on Kansas, and that's going to be a 1 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that matchup. The Jayhawks are the 8-point favorite, total at 132. We're seeing pretty good two-way action with regard to the sides. We did see a little bit of movement upward on the total. The Jayhawks open and remain -8. Total open 131 up to 132. 64% are leaning Baylor, 65% shaded toward the over. And right now, Baylor's plus 310 on the money line. The Bears have also won their last 10 straight games. They covered 70% of their games in those 10. They rank in the top 10 in points allowed. Meanwhile, Kansas, they failed to cover the point spread in 2 out of their last 4. Now, Kansas is 10-4 to the under in their last 14. I think Baylor should keep it close and respectable. I'm going to lean Baylor Bears plus 8 and the under 132 in that game. Next matchup, South Carolina taking on Tennessee, 1 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. Tennessee's -6.5, total 132. Saw a 1-point fade of Tennessee and movement upward on the total. The Vols open 7.5 down to -6.5. Total open 131 up to 132. 59% are leaning Tennessee, 69% toward the over. Right now, the Gamecocks are plus 240 on the money line. Now, if you like South Carolina in this matchup here, they're holding their opponents to just 38% from the field. Meanwhile, Tennessee, they've only covered just 30% of their games in their last 10. Now, the Vols are 7-2 to the under on their home court. I'm going to lean South Carolina plus 6.5 and the under 132 in that game. Next matchup, Oklahoma State taking on TCU, 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Horned Frogs are 3.5. Total open 128 up to 129. 52% are leaning Oklahoma State. 73% shaded toward the over. And right now, the Cowboys are plus 155 on the money line. Now, if you like Oklahoma State in this matchup, kind of sputtering as of late. Losers of 5 out of their last 7. They also covered just 40% of their games in their last 10. Meanwhile, TCU pretty good at home this year. 9-2 straight up on their home court. They're also shooting 37% from downtown. Now, total-wise, TCU 8-5 to the under in their last 13. I'm going to lean TCU -3.5 and the under 129 in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and just welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Saturday's college basketball action. But before we dive into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where we do daily premium sports picks on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. Pretty much I come on here and handicap every single game on YouTube in hopes that you just even consider clicking that link in the description section below and checking out that website. So anyway, the link for that site is in the description section below. Once again, that is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Creighton taking on Xavier, 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that matchup. Xavier's -3.5, total open 140.5 up to 142 and a hook. 52% are leaning Xavier, 56% shaded toward the over. Creighton's plus $1.60. Creighton's lost their last 2 straight games. They're also just 2-3 away from home. Xavier, on the other side, winners of 9 out of their 10 home games this year. They're also allowing just 65 points per contest. Now, the Musketeers are 60% to the under on their home court. I'm going to lean Xavier -3.5 and the under 142.5 in that contest. Next game, Louisville taking on Notre Dame, 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that one. Louisville open 3.5 down to -3. Total open 136 up to 137. And right now, the Fighting Irish are plus $1.40 at home. Now, Notre Dame's covering just 40% of their games as the official Vegas underdog. They're also just 2-3 against the spread in their last 5 games, taking on a team over 650. And of course, that's a win percentage that I'm referring to. Now, total-wise, we're looking at a Louisville team who's 3-2 to the under, taking on teams averaging more than 72 points per contest. So I'm going to go ahead and lean Louisville -3 and the under 137 in that game. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Wisconsin taking on Penn State, 2:15 Bryce Jordan Center. Penn State's minus 3.5, total 134 and a hook. We saw a 1-point fade of Penn State and movement upward on the total. The Nittany Lions open 4.5, down to minus 3.5, total open 133 and a hook, up to 134.5. 51% are leaning Penn State, 59% shaded toward the over. And right now, Wisconsin's plus $1.45 on the money line. Now, Wisconsin's just 2-5 away from home. They're averaging just 68 points per contest. Meanwhile, Penn State, winners of 7 out of their last 9. Big victories against Iowa, Maryland, and Syracuse. Penn State's also 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean Penn State minus 3.5 and the over 134.5 in that contest. Next game, it is going to be Texas A&M taking on Vandy, 3:30 Eastern tip-off in that contest. Vanderbilt's minus 3.5, totals at 127, 59% on Vanderbilt, 52% on the over. Texas A&M's plus $1.30 on the money line. Texas A&M's also 4-1 straight up in their last 5 games. They rank in the top 20 in the nation in points allowed. They're giving up just 60 points per contest on average. Now Vanderbilt, losers of 4 out of their last 6. They also failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 9. Vandy is 12-2 to the over thus far in their last 14 games. I'm going to lean Texas A&M plus 3.5 and the over 127 in that contest. Next game, Marquette taking on Seton Hall. 4 o'clock tip-off in that one. Seton Hall opened minus 6 down to minus 5.5. Total open 144 up to 145. 58% are leaning Seton Hall. 88% shaded toward the over. And right now Marquette is plus 205 on the money line. Marquette's won 7 out of their last 10. Victories against Villanova, Kansas State, and USC. Marcus Howard has been upgraded to probable. So that is good news for Marquette backers. Now Seton Hall on the other side, 2-1 to the over in their last trio of ball games. I like Marquette on the road here. Give me Marquette plus 5.5 and the over 145 in that contest. Next matchup, Syracuse taking on Virginia, 4 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Cavaliers open 7.5 down to minus 6.5. Total open 117 down to 115. 66% are leaning Virginia, 64% shaded toward the under. Right now, Syracuse is plus 255 on the money line. Syracuse has also failed to cover the point spread in their last 6 straight. They're just 10% against the spread in their last 10, which is just 1-9 against the spread in their last 10. Now, Virginia on the other side, 8-1 straight up at home. They're allowing just 47 points per game. When it comes to the total, Virginia is 9-5 to the under for the year. I'm going to go ahead and lean Virginia Cavaliers minus 6.5 and the under 115 in that game. Next contest, Arkansas taking on Ole Miss. 6 o'clock tip-off in that one. Arkansas is minus 2, total open 136 up to 139. 57% are leaning Arkansas, and at the moment, Ole Miss is plus $1.20 on the money line. Now, Ole Miss has dropped their last 2 straight games. They also failed to cover the point spread in their last 4 straight. They're averaging just 69 points per contest. Meanwhile, Arkansas, 8-2 straight up in their last 10. They rank in the top 30 in points allowed. Now, total-wise, Arkansas is 10-4 to the under in their last 14. I'm going to lean Razorbacks minus 2 and the under 139 in that matchup. Next game, Oklahoma taking on Iowa State. 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Iowa State open 2.5 up to minus 3.5. Total open 152 down to 150. 59% are leaning Iowa State, 51% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Sooners are plus $1.45. Oklahoma's won their last 4 straight. They're averaging 74 points per contest. Iowa State, on the other side, losers of 4 out of their last 5 themselves. They're giving up 72 points per contest. Iowa State's also 60% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean Sooners plus 3.5 and the over 150 in that game. All right, next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Mississippi State taking on LSU. 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. LSU open as the 7-point favorite, up to minus 8. Total open 146, down to 145 and a hook. 61% are leaning LSU, 88% shaded toward the over. And right now, Mississippi State is plus 320 on the money line. Now, the Bulldogs are just 1-3 straight up in their last 4. They also failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 9. LSU, on the other side, they rank in the top 20 in scoring, top 10 in offensive field goal percentage. Total-wise, Mississippi State, 80% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean LSU minus 8 and the over 145.5 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we do daily premium sports picks on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. I like LSU minus 8 over 145.5. Oklahoma plus 3.5 over 150. Arkansas minus 2 under 139. Virginia Cavaliers minus 6.5 under 115. Marquette plus 5.5 over 145. Texas A&M plus 3.5 over 127. Penn State minus 3.5 over 134 and a hook. Louisville minus 3 under 137. Xavier minus 3.5 under 142 and a hook. TCU minus 3.5 under 129. South Carolina plus 6.5 under 132. And last but certainly not least, I like Baylor plus 8 and the under 132 in that game.